Welcome back. In this video, we are going to talk about arrays in PHP. Now, when thinking of storing up multiple values to a single variable, an array function normally comes in handy. For instance, if you have a list of items gotten from the grocery store, instead of assigning each item to their separate variable name, you could store all of them to a single variable. So, an array is a unique variable that can hold more than one value or a group of values in a single variable. Now, in PHP, we have three types of arrays. We have the indexed array, the associative array, and the multi-dimensional arrays. Indexed arrays, they are arrays with an index key. Don't worry, as we proceed in the video, you'll get to understand what I mean by index key. Now, the associative array is an array with a unique key, while the multi-dimensional arrays, they are nested arrays. That is, an array that contains one or more arrays within itself. So, like an array inside an array. It's a multi-dimensional array. Before we proceed, let's create a subfolder called array. This is because this particular lesson contains three sections that needs detailed explanation. So to keep things tidy, let's create a separate folder called arrays and then create the files for each of our arrays: the index array, the associative array, and the multi-dimensional array. So let's go ahead. We are going to be creating a subfolder under PHP project. So we right click and create a new folder and call it arrays. And here we have our array folder. And in this folder, we'll be creating three files containing the three types of array we'll be handling in this lesson. So first file, Ctrl S, we'll save it as indexed array.php. Remember, no spaces, instead use the hyphen. So index array.php. Here we are, index array.php. We'll create another file, Ctrl S, the associative array.php. Let's use assoc for short, array.php. And then we'll create the third one, which is the multi-dimensional array. We'll just use multi-array.php. Okay, so we've created our array folder, which is the subfolder of the main project, and we've created the three files in our folder. So let's close the tabs we'll not be using or needing for this class. Okay, so like I said, an array is a unique variable that can hold more than one value or a group of values in a single variable. Now, to understand that better, let's see an example. Let's open up our PHP tag. Okay, so now let's assume we have these different types of fish called tilapia, catfish, titus, and mackerel. Now, to make an array of this list, we'll simply use a single variable called fish. That is, fish equals to array, in parentheses, tilapia, comma, catfish, comma, titus, comma, and mackerel. So now, these are different types of fish. So now what this is saying is that we have a single variable called fish that holds an array of different types of fishes, which include the tilapia fish, the catfish, the titus, and the mackerel. So this is how to use array. We use array to store more than one value or a group of values in a single variable. Now let's output all the items in the array. Count fish. So count is used to output all the items in the array. So Ctrl S and head over to the web browser. Remember, we created a new folder called arrays and we are inside index-array.php. So in our web browser, we'll change from our assignment folder to the arrays folder, and the file is index-array.php. Line 5, index-array.php on line 5, and let's see where our error is coming from. Oh, I use counts instead of counts. So we are counting the number of items in our array. So let's head over to the web browser and refresh. And here we are, 4. So we have 4 items in the array, as you can see. Tilapia, which is the first item, catfish, the second item, Titus, and mackerel. So this is how array works in PHP. Now remember, we talked about 3 types of array: the indexed arrays, the associative arrays, and the multi-dimensional arrays. And then I said the index array is an array with an index key. Now let's take an example of index array. Now using our data above of fish, let's remove this, we don't need it now. What if instead of counting the number of items we have in our array, we just want to echo out a particular item in that array? This is where index array comes in handy. Now before I explain what the index key is all about, let's echo out each item in our array. Now echo now fish 0 is equals to tilapia fish 1 is equals to catfish fish 2 is equals to Titus, and fish 3 is equals to mackerel. Now you might want to know the meaning of the numeric values in the brackets 0, 1, 2, and 3. Now these numeric values are the index key of each of the items in our array. And in indexed arrays, the numeric value starts from 0. So we have a variable called fish, and this fish has an array of different types of fish within it. Now the tilapia fish has an index key of 0, and the catfish has an index key of 1, and the Titus fish has an index key of 2, and the mackerel has an index key of 3. So to output tilapia, for instance, to the web browser, we use the index key 0 to output tilapia fish. So when we say echo fish index 0, it means you are saying output tilapia fish. If you say echo fish index 1, you are saying output catfish. If you say echo fish index 2, you are saying output Titus. And if you say echo fish index 3, you are saying output mackerel. So this is how an index array works. Now of course, if we output this on the web browser, we're not going to see anything because we've not said anything. Now to echo out catfish on the web browser, we say echo fish and index of 1. That will echo out catfish on the web browser. Now to echo out tilapia and Titus fish, we use the keys 0 and 2 with concatenation to echo out these two items on the web browser. So now let's echo out these two items. So we'll say echo fish index 0. Now because we are trying to echo out two items, we concatenate these two items using the period sign and then the quotation marks, comma. The quotation mark is just to print out or output that comma, and then concatenate another item, fish, and 2. So this will echo out tilapia fish, comma, and Titus. To create space between these two items, we can put our space here before we save. So Ctrl S and refresh. So you can see tilapia, comma, Titus. Now let's output the last item on our list, which is fish with index key 3. So this should bring out mackerel here. Okay. So this is how you can store more than one value or a group of values in a single variable. And talking about index array, we make use of the index, we make use of the key to refer to a particular item or items on the list.